Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Irina Miller and I wanted to share with you a recipe that's become one of my staples. I've fallen in love with it and I got it from Ella Woodward and her new book. I want to show you the book itself, Deliciously Ella, and she has her website as well, deliciouslyella.com. It's a wonderful book filled with lots of plant-based, gluten-free recipes, healthy, and it's been fun for me to go through, getting lots of great ideas. And this one, I just couldn't help but share it with you. It's called Superfood Bread, and the Superfood Bread is a protein-packed bread. It's gluten-free, as you'll see from some of the ingredients I have here, and it's dairy-free, no added extra sugars. And for me, it's a great pick-me-up, in the afternoon if I need a little bit of extra energy, or if I want something like bread, but I'm avoiding the flour-based breads right now, and I can turn to this. I love it with hummus, next to salads or soups, lots of different options. So I wanted to share it with you. Now, to begin, I have this whole recipe photograph down below, and you can find it, of course, in Ella's book, The Deliciously Ella, but I just wanted to share with you the process of me going through it and making it. So if you choose to pick up her book and find out more about this recipe, you'll have seen someone go through it. And I change it up a little bit just for my personal preferences. So to begin, what we want to do is we want to make a flour based out of almonds and pumpkin seeds. Now, the almonds, it's about 1 1/3 cup of almonds, and you're going to put it into a food processor. That was quite loud, so we put it into a food processor here. And next one. And then 1 1/3 cups of your pumpkin seeds. Now, yummy, yummy pumpkin seeds. And for me, while I cook, it's always fun to have items or ingredients that come from my family. So this is actually my mom's food processor that I have inherited, and it makes me think of her when I cook. So I'm going to make a great big loud sound in order to make some flour out of the almonds and the pumpkin seeds. So here it goes. So once you have something that resembles a flour, you're going to take that, and I'm going to move these extra cups out of the way so we don't have to worry about those. You're going to take this, and actually I'm going to do it a little bit more because I see that I have some chunks in here. All right, that's a little bit better. So I'll take the lid off, and I'm going to then take my wonderful almond pumpkin seed flour, and I'm going to just place it into a large mixing bowl. So I get this wonderful base to start with. And it's always interesting dealing with this knife portion of the food processor. Okay, so here I have my almond and pumpkin seed flour. Now, into that, I'm going to add the rest of the dry ingredients. And this dry ingredient is actually buckwheat flour. I love buckwheat flour. And for me, this was always a special treat growing up. My dad, when he could find the buckwheat flour in the grocery store, would make buckwheat pancakes for us on Sundays. And it was my absolute favorite. I used to beg for it, and it was always a challenge to find this. So I'm so happy I can find it once again. You'll find that Ella uses brown rice flour, which is fantastic. But I go ahead and I use the buckwheat, and it's 1 1/4 cup of buckwheat flour, and I'll pour it this way. I'm left-handed, so it makes it a little bit interesting to demonstrate this. Okay, so we get our buckwheat flour and we just mix it up. Next, you're going to take another 1/3 cup of pumpkin seeds, pour that in. Once you have that and you're mixing it up, take your sunflower seeds, in they go, and you're mixing up all your dry ingredients. And as you mix up your dry ingredients, you just enjoy yourself and you take it easy. Now, next thing that I'm going to add in is a psyllium husk. Now, psyllium husk is really important, Ella says, because this is what binds the bread together. And this is not an ingredient that can be substituted. And there are places that you can find this. I show you a picture of the one that I use in the recipe on my site. So I'm gonna just mix the psyllium husk in, and that's about 3 tablespoons of that. Now, the next thing, I use ground flax seeds. This is one of my all-time favorites. Love, love, love the ground flax seeds for all those healthy omega-3s. And Ella recommends using chia seeds, which is another great option. For me, I love going to the flax seeds. So I'm gonna just place flax seeds in, and then I'm gonna go to the salt. And for me, this is wonderful because I got this salt from my Aunt Jenny, and this particular salt is from France, so an extra special close place to my heart. And I'm gonna place in, I do about half a teaspoon of the salt, but it's up to you. And Ella says, salt and pepper it according to your taste. Now, one thing that I leave out that Ella does put in is the herbe de Provence. And the herbe de Provence, you can add in any really seasoning that you wish. So from here, once all your dry ingredients are mixed, you're gonna take 1.5 cups of cold water. And with this cold water, you just pour in the water. And of course you get something that looks very interesting. Kind of feel like a kid again, playing in the mud, making mud pies. That was one of my favorite things to do in the spring. Oh my goodness, getting outside finally after being locked up all winter, and the rains would come, and as soon as the rain ended and the sun poked its head out, I'd rush outside, I'd find the closest mud pile, pull up a bunch of grass, and make a wonderful muddy soup. So as you're doing this, you just mix it all up, and as you mix this up, and you get the ingredients somewhat together, what you'll do once the ingredients are all together, and I'm actually going to add a little bit more water to mine, add a little bit more because it's just looking a little bit thick. So I add in a little bit extra water and get this guy really nice and mixed up. And once I have it mixed up, I'm gonna let it sit for about an hour so that it really has an opportunity to bind. And then once all the ingredients have sat for an hour, I'll place it into the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes. Now, one of the tricks that Ella does mention on her website is she mentions that you want to make the loaves of bread very tiny, very skinny, not too high. But I make 2 long loaves on my pan that I use, and it's a wonderful thing. It comes out just perfectly. So once you have it all mixed up, and again, kind of like playing in the mud a little bit, you can get that inner child back out. You're gonna have your ingredients just like so, and let it sit for about an hour. And I usually take one of my towels, and just place it over and let it rest for the hour. So I'm gonna let this sit for an hour, and I'll see you back here. All right, welcome back. We've waited our hour, and now we're gonna place the mixture, our bread, onto our pan. And this pan is special to me because I've had it since Don and I got married 17 and a half, almost 18 years ago. So it's a favorite of mine, so I use just a black non-stick, and you can use what your heart is calling you to, sometimes a bread pan or a loaf pan. Yet this one works well. You don't need to worry about putting any kind of grease down. I'm gonna take the mixture out of the bowl. I already put one on there. I like to use the wooden spoon because it gives me a lot of sturdy support. And again, you go back into that childhood realm where you just have fun playing, imagining as if you were making mud pie a little bit. Well, they have that wonderful dessert. I can't remember the name of it, where they make yummy, delicious mud chocolate lava cake type things. But anyway, the idea is that you're gonna make these loaves nice and low profile. And I use the wooden spoon to just pat them down and smooth them out. And I usually try to keep them separated and make them somewhat even in length so that they will cook evenly. And again, you just get creative. It's a little bit like those Pinterest fail moments. I don't always get it looking beautiful, but I make it beautiful in my own way. And that reminds me of a story that I love about a teacher who was making pancakes for his students. And he said, I'm making the most beautiful pancakes in the whole entire world. And there he was, flipping these pancakes. They were falling on the floor, getting crumbs and hairs and everything into them. They were burnt, they were misshapen. And he kept singing, I'm making the most beautiful, delicious pancakes in the world, the best pancakes ever. And a student who was watching thought that for certain the teacher had lost his mind. And then, as he drew close, he realized that the teacher really, in his heart, it was the heart's intention of making the best pancakes. That truly and really the pancakes were the best because the teacher had placed his whole heart into making them. They may not have looked perfect, but they tasted delicious. So we do our best for a pretty presentation. So we have our 2 loaves that we make out of the recipe, and you'll see they're nice and skinny, not too high, nice and flat. I've got the oven set for 400 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and slide these guys in now and let them cook for about 45 minutes.